Once Mr. Eon is finished explaining the rules, he motions towards my stones. Black takes the first move. You may begin whenever you're ready. Okay, for the record, I have no idea what I'm doing here. That's alright, just play on instinct. Look, I think it's obvious. He just wants to see whether a pro gamer has sort of good instincts in other games. I think. That has to be what's happening. It's hard to hide the confusion I'm feeling, but I agree and shuffle a handful of black stones in my direction anyway. If the point of go is to control space, it seems like a good idea to form some sort of basic structure that I can play off of later. What? They're not even put in the squares, they're put on the edges. That makes no sense. But not 5 turns into the game, Mr. Eon begins placing his pieces dangerously close to mine. When I look up from the board... when I look up from the board, he answers me only with a smile. Soon he begins capturing my stones with relentless efficiency, never allowing me to challenge his position when I'm so focused on protecting my own. I fight back to defend my territory, but the clerk's plan is always a step ahead. I fix the board with an intense stare, certain that I can somehow unlock the intricacies of Go by demanding it of myself. Not how that works. When the board is halfway full, it becomes readily apparent that I'm going to lose. Mr. Eon glances up from the board with a raised eyebrow, smile ever present. Would you get to stop? I don't mean to keep you too long. No, it's fine, let's finish. After turning down the chance to concede, it feels appropriate that I'd somehow staged an amazing comeback, but the beatdown only continues. Hey, that's bad manners from the clerk. It's like, hey, you just want to stop because you're clearly fucking losing, aren't you? That's BM. It's bullshit there. Towards the end of the match, Mr. Eon manages to capture more than half my stones in a single move. My displeasure makes it itself apparent with a groan. I deliver my last few turns on the board hard enough to echo a clack throughout the store. Mr. Eon scratches his chin casually, scanning the carnage he's wrought upon my pieces. I don't see any possible moves. I pass. And I pass too. That means the game is over, right? That is correct. I release the breath I've been holding in, relieved. I'm so glad to live in an era where video games exist. The old man replaces his go set in the bag and box and clears the counter of our diversion. Yet instead of reaching for my drinks to scan, he sets his eyes on me. You play to avoid losing. I feel a frown form on my face. Why exactly am I getting a lesson on an Eastern board game from a cashier? I don't say anything, so he continues. Specifically, you play to avoid the pain of a loss. It's clear to see when you have no learned habits or memorized strategies. There's nothing inherently wrong with playing that way, but you should be aware of the fact I'm a firm believer that games showcase personality in its purest form. Really? Really though? I don't believe that at all. Anyone who's played me in anything ever will be able to tell you just how passive I am. I play everything so painstakingly boring. I have a cricket game. If the bowler's bowling well, I just decide not to hit the ball that over. I'm just like, that's fine, you'll get tired eventually. I'll hit you when you'll stop bowling so quickly or so well or with a good line in length. However, I'm quite outgoing. I'm not passive in real life at all. That's just my play style because I personally think it's the best. I don't know about that. Maybe he's got a fever. Hard to say. Was this a whole thing just an excuse to share some wisdom you couldn't think of any other way to bring up? I said that with more disrespect than I should have. I was going to say, it's a bit harsh. Nevertheless, Mr. Eon's slight smile doesn't falter. Perhaps I'm just looking for a conversation. You didn't quit when I gave you the chance, that's good, but you can only go so far without playing for the win. StarCraft isn't so different from Go. I know that because life isn't so different from Go. Strive to win, Mac, not to not lose. I don't understand. Try to, it's an important lesson. A serious glint flickers across Mr. Eon's face for a fraction of a second. When it's gone, he looks no different than before. Oh, don't want to hit that, want to hit space. Look, Mac, what he's trying to tell you is that you always have to have it in your head, how am I going to win? What am I going to do in order to win? You can't sit there and go, fuck, I need to not lose here. You need to go, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to defend. And I'm going to do it this way. Once this is successful, I'm going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to expand. We're going to broaden our horizons. You can't think, right, well, I'm going to defend. And sort of sit out from there, you know? Yeah. There's no one else that moves those drinks off the shelf like you. I'm incentivized to have you succeed and stick around, you see? He lets out a laugh, one that continues only until I smile politely in response. When he's done, Mr. Eon rings up my drinks and hurries them into a bag. Right, off you go. I won't ask you to play again with me unless you'd like to. Alright. I lower my head in a bow. A bow. Not the type reserved for venerable elder, but at least one to show that I'm thankful. The door rings when I hurry through it, leaving Mr. Eon to endure the sickly linoleum. There we are, we got there eventually, of his store alone. In a roundabout way, I think Mr. Eon's little diversion might actually help. Holy shit, how long were we outside? We got up, we went to the park immediately, we then went to the thing and back, then I started walking back to the goat. That cannot be longer than an hour, can it, if we started in the morning? Christ, how early does the sun set in Korea? It's nice to know that he cares enough about me to offer advice, even if it's just because I shop at his store. I think he's joking. Whether or not that business about Go and not losing is true remains to be seen. Is an aversion to losing really that ingrained in my DNA? Go mad, huh? Alright, Mr. Eon. I'll admit that's pretty clever. I see what you did. It seems much darker outside than it was when I came into the store. I need to check the timer. Oh, shit. I have like half a dozen missed calls from Reva. Did that Go match seriously take more than an hour? An urgent need to get back to my apartment replaces my thoughts of Mr. Eon and board games. I weave through pedestrians as best as I can while simultaneously texting an apology to Reva. She seems like the kind of person who, I'll be honest, isn't going to get angry. My feet carry me as fast as they can. If Reva got tired of waiting in front of my door and left, I'm screwed. I pant my way up to the apartment stairs and pause in the hallway to find she isn't there. Frustrated, I sigh and force open my door. I'm dead. I'm so dead. Why didn't I keep track of the time? Why now? Why when so much is on the line? You didn't think to call her. That would have been so much easier. As I rack my brain for an excuse I can offer Jed, I look up to find that my apartment is already occupied. You are late. She rises from her seat on my bed and points at the computer. Ladder. How are you in my room? The door was not locked. I let myself in when you failed to answer my calls. Why would anyone do that? Isn't this illegal? I guess it's not. Because I'd give her permission to do it. Whatever. You just came in? Yes. My breathing calms as my panic subsides. I forgot to lock my door, huh? Well, I guess this is better than showing up to find my computer missing. Right, okay. Sorry, I got caught up with some old guy. Here. With a rustle, I reach into my bag I'm carrying and hand a drink to Reva. She doesn't drink these. I can bet you anything she doesn't drink them. How big is it? 473 milliliters. That's a decent sized drink. Caught up. It's a proper sized drink. Reva takes my offering without so much as looking at it. Whether or not she's actually going to drink it, I've done my due diligence as a host. That's not what due diligence means. It's hard to explain. You do not need to explain your relationship with an old man if you would rather not. Even though I'm pretty sure it's a joke, Reva doesn't smile to show it. I offer a nervous laugh and fall into my computer chair, trying to move on from the topic of my tardiness. Right, ladder. Is there something you think I need to practice? You will want to match against Protoss players only. Quit the match if your opponent is a Terran or a Zerg. Wait, but my ranking! With a few keystrokes I display my proudly earned Grandmaster badge accompanied by a rank in the double digits. If I leave 2/3 of my game tonight, I'm going to lose a bunch of ladder points. Are your ladder points really that important? Absolutely! Well, I wouldn't. I'd cry. Without a word, Reva takes the mouse from me and logs out of StarCraft 2. Her fingers dance across the keyboard and a second later we're logged into her barcode account. Oh yes! Awesome, so we keep our ladder points. We're in someone else's account. The Grandmaster badge accompanying Reva's anonymous username is ranked even higher than mine. Play on this one then, I do not care about ladder rank and neither should you. I scratch behind my head and have the sense to look embarrassed. She's right, it's pretty dumb for me to worry about ladder rank at a time like this. With a nod and a click I search for my first match of the night. It takes a handful of games before I'm finally matched up against a Protoss. He's got one of those weird names with random capitalization. Alright, is this stunt? Be honest. People who randomly capitalize names in their username are almost always like 11. I don't know why, they just are. Reva sits just over my shoulder from the edge of the bed, eyes fast on the monitor. Your APM is low. That's abilities per minute. Did I explain APM before? Abilities per minute and how many things you do per minute. I must have. I wince and respond with a flurry of unnecessary keystrokes. I've never cracked 300 APM, even when I'm focused on doing so. The highest APM I've ever got to is 250. Now that may sound impressive, but it's not. So early on, in order to have lots of APM, you can... Okay, so if I press, for example, I click on the command center here and click Shift 1, that means every time I press 1, it'll go to my command center. Now, I can then assign this SCV here to 2, this one to 3, this one to 4, this one to 5, and then just spam them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, it'd be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, because I'm right-handed. And just keep doing that over and over again. Your abilities per minute will be insane. Probably not the way to get good, though. A minute or two passes without comment, though it's hard to tell whether or not that means she thinks I'm playing well. No, she's analysing, is going to tell you at the end of the game. Your engineering bays are late. Are they? They are, damn it. I whip my mouse hard, box a pair of SCVs and slam down 2 delayed structures. I checked his army composition with the scan and decide I'm ready to challenge him. Colossi. This isn't Wings of Liberty. Who plays of Colossus? Delayed upgrades or not, I managed to keep a close enough eye on my opponent's tech that I have a massive swell of Vikings by the time his Colossus comes into play. His army gets caught in an awkward position when he tries to establish his third base, allowing me to power forward into his base. It's a win I'd normally celebrate with a self-assured smile. But with Reva over my shoulder, I'm forced to feign humility in my victory. I turn towards her and motion towards the screen. Well, what do you think? She adjusts her glasses and purses her lips, taking a long moment to decide on her response. Well done for winning, but you suck. Holy shit! He was bad, but you capitalized on his mistake, so I have no major complaint. A good player won't let you obtain free information. Use your scans wisely. I thought I used them pretty well, didn't I? Scouting is one of the things I'm best at. No, particularly. And you should always aim to be even better. It's the motto I saw on Tumblr. I'm better than I was. I plan to be better than I am. Done. Once you think that, life's easier. I grumble and turn to queue up another game. Yet another thing to focus on, I guess. I had thought that Reva's low-key attitude might have made her a little bit lenient with my mistakes, but she's not at all that different from Jet, minus how she delivers her criticism. My next match is on the largest map in the current ladder pool. I have a pretty easy time defending my expansions with the way that the map's choke points are constructed. Rather than poke and prod with Marines and go for early aggression, I throw down a quick third base in a far-flung corner on the map. Shortly, I begin my natural expansion. Why put it in the third base? Whatever, I don't know. Pulling off this kind of tactic is incredibly rewarding. If it goes unscouted, I'm practically guaranteed to win. Why are you doing that? Practice something useful. I shift my gaze aside to find Reva uncomfortably close to both me and the monitor. What if I decide to hide an expansion against Bolt? Are you going to risk the team on a coin flip? Cancel it and aim for the long game. Reva offered the advice... What? Reva offered the advice too firm... Offered the advice too firm to be called suggestion, and I find myself moving the mouse to do as instructed. This gaff is going to set me back a fair bit. I gear up for a drawn-out match by focusing on my upgrades and base defense. It's not long before my Protoss opponent and I have split the map in half and are jockeying for position. Build more defenses. You can afford a dozen planetary fortresses. Is that really necessary? Mac, your opponent is Protoss. Protoss players will stop at nothing to cheat an honest Terran out of an earned win. Sure. Funny, I typically image balance whiners as loud and obnoxious in real life. I wonder if she quit playing random out of guilt. I still oblige and cram as many static defense structures as I can into a vital choke point. There is an observer over your army. I squint to find that she's right. Damn, how did I not catch that earlier? With a scan, I pick off the Protoss scout and reposition the unit. Okay, so I shouldn't need to explain, but an observer is something which can't attack. It's a stealth unit. It's invisible unless you scan it. Or have light detection. It takes a few minutes to adjust my army composition to one that better suits the extreme late game, but I'm soon ready to clash with my opponent. Really? The extreme late game? You just have Marines and Marauders? Like, are you taking the piss? At this point, StarCraft becomes less about strategy and more about patience. It's important to know when to stalk and when to pounce. That's what strategy is. You sit around, you take a few sort of petty victories and grind them down. I sense an opening at last and rush into my opponent's weak flank. Out of the corner of my eye I can see Reva tensing up, invested as much as I am in the outcome of the battle. But try as I might, my snipes don't connect with the High Templar scattered across the Protoss army. Yeah, we got battered. He drowns my units in Psystorm and steamrolls down the centre of the map, destroying my constructed defences along the way. I struggle pointlessly to mount a counter-offensive, but the damage is done. I force a tap out of GG and quit the match with a huff. He controlled his army better than you did. I spin on my chair to face Reva with a frown. If he didn't, I would have won. Ah, that was so close. No, that's not how that works. You lost, you admit you lost, and now you try and get better. It's not close if he outskilled you. Yes, it was. At least she can concede a point to my credit when it's deserved, but damn, that match took a while. As long as go with Mr. Yeon, if not longer. What time do you need to leave? Are you throwing me out? Come on. We know that she's a bit of a shut-in. I'm sure that she doesn't need to be anywhere urgently. What? No, I'm just saying if you need to be home at a certain time, let me know. I do not. Okay. Sheesh. Why does talking to her feel so unnatural? This has to be intentional on her part. I need a break. Your opponents will use every wasted moment to become better than you. Breaks are dangerous. Just a short one. I'm thirsty anyway. We'll be back on ladder with a vengeance afterwards. We played 2 games and took a break. 2 games. Thirsty. I see. My fist clenches involuntarily as I reach for a can, nearly forcing me to knock it over. I offer Reva an exhausted look before cracking open my drink. Not to be outdone, I take a poised sip before glancing casually in her direction. So, why do you pretend to be a guy on the internet? Now it's Reva's turn to tense up, her face contorts, eyes glazing over as if scanning her internal database for a scathing comeback. 404, comeback not found. I mean, did she pretend to be a guy or did we just assume she was a guy? I think we just assumed, didn't we? I do no such thing. Details about my private life are kept just so private. Others simply assume. Well, that's all coming to an end if we're going to be on Team Enoch, isn't it? I suppose. Excited about living in a team house? As long as this is being paid for, yes. In it for the esports money, I see. Oh yeah, work all of that esports money. Of course, since primary school I've dreamed on my own bunk bed and free cup noodles. Reva is refreshingly realistic about pro gamer living conditions. Maybe she can talk some sense into stunt. I doubt that. To be frank, anything is better than life back at home. Oh, trouble with your parents? No, my parents worked hard to give me the opportunities they never had. And for that I will always be grateful. But they live so far away from Seoul, so I was isolated from my friends for most of my life. You mean your online friends? Yes, but now I have the chance to make my own way. I take pride in the fact that I've turned my skills into a living, no matter how meagre. You should be. Most people living off of StarCraft do it with the support of a team, but you've managed it on your own. You have the right to be proud. Maybe, but sometimes, even though I am happy with my accomplishments, I lack the confidence to devote more of myself to this game. Really? Really? Have you not seen what you've been doing? You've done nothing which suggests that at all. Really? I wouldn't expect to hear something like that from you. Why? I don't know, you kind of seem like the resolute type. No regrets, that sort of thing. I'm bad at putting into words my impression of Reva, but she seems to understand what I mean by the nod she offers. If you are correct that I always give full effort to my pursuits. However, this is not a matter of regret. Normally I can be satisfied even in failure if I have done my best. But what if the task was not worth working towards in the first place? What do you mean? Esports is like anything else, isn't it? It's a way to climb to the top. It is, but StarCraft is inherently less valuable than most other things. Art, athletics, education, science, a corporate career. Objectively, my time is better spent on almost anything other than pro gaming. But I do not believe I can truly distinguish myself at any of those things, where it is possible as a pro gamer. I was born in the right country, I am the correct age, and I have enough required talent. Even then, it is not logical for me to spend so much time and yet effort on what should statistically prove unrewarding. Yet I cannot bring myself to turn down the chance to compete. I have the same drive, so at least... I'm not sure why you're bringing this up. I mean, We're about to be on a team together, you know? Whatever. But you really won't do something if you can't be the best at it? You sound like Ties of Time. And the way you talk about your motivation... Do you even like StarCraft? No, I don't. She answers bluntly, then looks away. I have nothing to say to that. High-level StarCraft isn't always fun in the traditional sense of the word, but it sounds like Reva genuinely doesn't enjoy the game. For her to be as good as she is without holding her back is hard to understand. StarCraft's greatest players have always credited their love of the game as a major factor in their success. How far can she hope to go without that advantage? With silence filling the space between us, Reva takes the opportunity to try out the drink I brought for her. On the first taste, she screws her face up and hurries to set it down. How can you stand something so sugary? Well, we like sugar, so like that. I shrug since I don't have a good answer. It's not like I can explain why something tastes good. Why are you living, if not with your parents? Where are you living? Do you know what a goshiwon is? No idea. No way, really? That's a term that showed up in one of my online lessons. If I remember correctly, it's an absurdly tiny type of apartment, literally the size of a closet, with a low price to match. I live on the edge of Seoul, so rent is inexpensive. I pay with my winnings from online tournaments. Matches on the last week of every month, if I have not hit my quota, can be very stressful. That has been my life since I graduated from high school. Damn, you don't mind the lack of space? I do. I am enjoying the chance to stretch while it lasts. She demonstrates by falling onto my bed and fully extending her legs. I shake my head and try not to laugh. It'll last. The team house will be a nice upgrade for both of us. Reva sits up and rests her arms on her knees. Breakup time is over. Return to the ladder. Alright. I spin my chair back towards my computer and resume my training. The blue light from my computer monitor shines in Reva's glasses, her advice and my grumbling, all that is said between us. The matches bleed into each other, one foe falling after another. I'm in a Protoss-slaying groove. Reva goes quiet in the middle of a particularly intense game, leaving only the sounds of my keyboard and mouse clicks to mingle with the game's sounds blasting from my headphones. I manage to prolong my win streak with a multi-pronged attack that forces my opponent to tap out. With a triumphant grin, I push off the desk and turn. Boom, 3 in, and find that Reva has fallen asleep on duty. I thought Reva would be really good at this, but so far she has done, good for 2 games and that's it. God damn her.